Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Casey, and I post a new video every single week on a missing person case that maybe hasn't been talked about in a while and needs some more attention. I mean, absolutely no harm in doing so. I'm simply trying to spread awareness and get these cases some more exposure. Today's case was recommended to me by a subscriber, and when she told me this case was nuts, Heather, you were not even kidding. I am going to be talking about the disappearance of Donna K. Cloud from Splendora, Texas. And this case is really all over the place, with so many conflicting stories, various theories, and not a lot of solid evidence to really prove any of them. It is very hard to tell who is making up stories and who is telling the truth in all of this. Some are obviously lying, it's pretty apparent, but we don't really know what is fact and what is fiction in this case, so please take everything I say in this video very lightly because we just don't actually know what the truth is. In my opinion, this case was extremely mishandled, not only by police, but by some of the family too, I'm sorry to say. Lots of sketchy stuff was said and done. It seems to me like certain family members may have hindered the investigation, and when police have been given leads that seem to be pretty good ones, they aren't even checking into them. I'm pretty sure the majority of you will feel the same way. Maybe not, but let me know in the comments what you think at the end. Donna K. Cloud was born on July 7th of 1997 to parents Daryl Beatty and Shelly Cloud. If the name Shelly Cloud sounds familiar to some of you and you can't remember why, I'll let you know here in a bit. From what I understand, her mother Shelly left when Donna K. was just a baby, and her dad Daryl wasn't really around much either, so Donna K. was raised by her paternal grandparents in Shepherd, Texas, from the time she was 3 months old on. Her grandparents seem to have taken really good care of her, and Donna K. grew up to be an absolutely stunning young lady. She was a typical country teenager. She liked hanging out with friends. She liked to hunt and fish. She liked to swim. And she seemed to be a really sweet girl who especially adored her grandmother. Donna K. got pregnant at the age of 16 and gave birth to a little boy whose name I'm going to leave out of this video. But at some point, a few years down the road, Donna K. did not have her son with her. I read the reason being that a few months before she disappeared, she had overdosed on drugs and therefore had to be hospitalized, and subsequently could only have supervised visits with her son. The other being that she willingly gave her son to his father. I'm unsure of the entire story on this. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of things are hearsay, but either way, her little boy, who is now 3 years old, was living with his dad, and I don't believe Donna K. was getting to see him very much. In October of 2016, Donna K. had recently left an abusive boyfriend that she had been living with. Not her son's father, a different guy, but she had moved in with her dad, Daryl, and her stepmom, Linda, in Splendora, Texas. Now, according to those that know Donna K., she and her dad had a rocky relationship, and they argued quite a bit. They had only recently reconnected since he wasn't a father figure to her when she was growing up, and they tended to butt heads. Now, according to her dad Daryl and his wife Linda, on the evening of Tuesday, October 25th, 2016, Donna K. told her stepmom Linda that she was going on a blind date to the Texas Roadhouse restaurant in Kingwood, Texas, with a guy she had met online. She supposedly told her stepmom, "If you don't hear from me by 1 a.m., call the cops." And her stepmom told her, "Maybe you better turn your location on in your phone just in case if you're that worried about it." So the first story goes that Donna K. was picked up by a guy, but no one saw what kind of car she got into or what this dude looked like or even his name. Did they ask questions about this guy? Who knows, maybe they did and Donna just didn't tell them. I guess no one thought to maybe look and see who she was leaving with though. Her dad texted her after she left asking her if she was out of her mind going out with someone she doesn't know. He received a text back from Donna's phone saying it was okay, the guy was a friend of a friend, they had mutual friends on Facebook, and then her dad and stepmom received texts again later saying that the date was nice and that she and the guy were gonna go watch Redbox movies at his house, and she would be home in the morning. And she would call if she needed anything. Donna K. was also in contact with her grandparents and told them that she would be bringing her date by the following morning so that they could meet him. During all of these call and text exchanges, I don't believe anyone ever got the date's name. However, some of Donna's friends claimed that the guy was from Liberty, Texas. But Donna Kay never showed up at her grandparents' home. She never returned to her dad's house, and she stopped answering her phone and returning text messages on October 27th. She was reported missing, and family started posting on social media asking if anyone had seen her or had any contact with her. The more the supposed date was looked into, the more it seemed like it never happened. Surveillance was checked at the Texas Roadhouse she was supposed to have gone to with her date, but Donna wasn't seen anywhere on the footage from that night, coming or going from the restaurant, and none of the employees there recalled serving her. There also wasn't anything found on her social media, messages, posts, or anything that suggested she had met up or talked to someone she had met on Facebook. There was an unconfirmed sighting that someone had seen her in the Cleveland area, and shortly after, it was circulated on social media that Donna had been found, even though she had not. This is so detrimental to a case. I know it has happened in multiple other missing cases. People are reported found safe when they are actually still missing. I'm not sure why someone would post something like that without knowing for sure. It almost makes me think they sometimes are intentionally trying to hinder an investigation. Donna's father started a GoFundMe for himself, and this was upsetting to a lot of people because he was setting it up to raise money to fix his car and pay some other expenses I don't think necessarily pertain to finding Donna. I think he also made people think that they were raising money to pay a private investigator. There was a PI working on her case, but he was working pro bono. He wasn't getting paid. This made a lot of people suspicious of her father, and they were already questioning his story about the night Donna left his home. Her dad was also logging into Donna Kay's Facebook account and posting things. He wasn't pretending to be Donna or anything like that. He was just posting her flyer and saying he was getting onto her account so it wouldn't be deactivated, which I don't believe is a thing. But he was also deleting messages and some of her friends on Facebook. I believe cops asked him not to do this because he could be deleting important evidence, but he continued to do it anyway. There is an interview that Jerry Dean from Missing Persons of America did with Daryl and Donna's stepmother Linda a couple years ago. They tell their version of what happened that night that they last saw Donna, and I'll link that below so you can go watch it and form your own opinion. But I myself found the interview kind of odd. Now, normally when people go missing, family members are talking the person up, telling all the good things about them, how much they miss them and just want them home. Even if the person wasn't doing such great things in their life or, they were struggling, you'll hear families say, oh, they were just starting to turn their life around. They were doing so well. Good things were happening. They were such an amazing person. Yeah, there's really none of that in this interview. They're mainly just talking about what a liar Donna was, how she couldn't be trusted, how she wasn't taking care of her son, she was associating with unsavory people, and kind of throwing a pity party for themselves about how this whole ordeal has affected them and how horribly they've been bullied and treated. I honestly felt sorry for them at first, but the more they bashed Donna Kay, the more I wondered how much they really cared about her and the fact that she was gone. Go watch it for yourself after this and let me know what you think about it. That's just kind of what I got from it. So this private investigator named Shane Stewart that was working on Donna's case sent Donna's dad this message. Your daughter is alive and fine. She doesn't want to speak to you because of y'all's argument. However, she is not at risk. I am not working this case. The sheriff's office still has it open until they physically put eyes on her. They can't close it, but there is no foul play and no harm done. She is in Cleveland with a male friend. That is all I will disclose. Donna's dad was relieved she was okay, but he was also pretty ticked. So he made an angry Facebook post after receiving the PI's message, and this is what it said. The truth is, my daughter is a spoiled brat. She had lied to us as well as other people and was not wanting to be found. She put everyone who loves her through hell without any regards to how we felt and the information we had led us to think something bad had happened to her. So if you don't have the facts, please keep your opinion to yourself, because I only did what I thought was right at the time and what a father who cares should have done to try and find his missing child. I spent hundreds of dollars and ran my vehicle into the ground looking for her. But you don't know this either, nor do you know I lost my job because I could not make it to work from being worried sick, so mind your own business. If people should be mad at anyone, it should be Donna for bringing this drama in everyone's life. I am trying to move on, and so should you. Now, I can't blame Daryl for being super pissed. The PI had made it seem, in my opinion, like he had actually seen Donna or talked to her and knew that she was okay when he had not done any of those things. His conclusion that she was safe was due to alleged sightings of her in Cleveland with a man in a red four-door sedan. These aren't confirmed sightings, though. You can't just say someone is alive and well because someone else maybe saw them. Her dad did take the Facebook post down once he found out from the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office that this information from the PI was not substantiated and the PI had made no contact with Donna whatsoever. The private investigator said he would no longer be working on Donna Kaye's case, or any other missing persons cases for that matter, because he was getting inconsistent stories from her family and he felt her disappearance was being used for financial gain. He also said that Donna Kaye and her father Daryl had gotten into a bad fight through text message the night she disappeared, and he believed Donna had left on her own because of the argument. Now, Daryl does admit that he and Donna Kaye did have a fight that day, but why didn't he divulge that information sooner? So story number 2 of what actually happened the day Donna Kaye disappeared, and this is the one most believed to be more accurate than the blind date theory, is that Donna Kaye and her father had a really bad argument that day over him wanting money from her. He demanded that she find a way to come up with $400 to help with bills. She did have a job, but I believe she had just started it. It was a pretty new job, so she didn't have any money. She was picked up from her dad's house by 2 men, a guy she knew named Carter Meyer and his roommate Aubrey Schultz, both of whom were about twice Donna Kaye's age. The men admitted to picking Donna Kaye up, but claimed to have dropped her back off at home later that evening. One of them said she was on the phone while in the car trying to find someone else to come pick her up, so he didn't think she planned to stay home. Carter states that he dropped her off at the end of her driveway, and some witnesses have come forward saying they did see Carter drop Donna Kaye off at her home. Supposedly, Carter and Aubrey have been cooperative with police, but they are still the last people known to have been with Donna, and both of these guys have an extensive criminal past. Donna Kaye has not been heard from at all since October 26th of 2016, and she hasn't been seen by her family since the 25th. Her phone has never been recovered, but they were able to track the phone's movements. I say the phone's movements because we don't actually know Donna Kaye was still with her phone at this point, just that whoever had the phone was moving from place to place. We assume it was Donna Kaye, but we don't really know that for sure. Donna Kaye's phone traveled between Conroe and Houston, Texas from 8 p.m. on October 25th to 1 a.m. on October 27th, making numerous stops along Interstate 105 on the way to Spring, Texas. A little after 1 a.m. on October 27th, Donna Kaye dropped off the radar. The last ping of her phone that night was at or near a trailer park in Spring. They were also able to find a long letter Donna had written to her dad in the notes section, like the notes app, of her phone at 4 a.m. on the day she disappeared. And it's really heartbreaking. I'm not going to read the whole thing here because it's really long, but I will link it in the description box. In this letter, she's expressing to her dad how she feels about the way he treats her and even, suggests to him that he's keeping her from seeing her son. It's really sad and sheds light on what their relationship was actually like, or at least how Donna felt about it. Donna's abusive ex-boyfriend was eventually checked into months after she disappeared. I'm not sure why it took months, but he took a polygraph test and he did pass it. When they were checking her phone and Google history, there were multiple messages, missed calls, and a voice message left by yet another guy named Kyle Ferguson, who went by K-Dub, on the night she disappeared. And he was threatening her, saying he was going to have someone smash her. When investigators asked him what this voicemail was about and why he left it, he said he couldn't remember. I don't believe he was questioned further. Now, something I want to point out is that the trailer park where Donna Kaye's phone last pinged is said to have been a place Kyle had been seen before. That's one of the weird things with this case. There are the two guys that picked her up, the dude that left the threatening voicemail, her dad that got in a fight with her that night, the abusive ex, and no one is being extensively looked into by the police. They haven't searched any homes or vehicles that I could find record of anyway. They seem to be doing pretty much nothing and just assuming she ran away and is fine somewhere. But what if she's not? I really hope cops are looking into all of these men and just keeping it quiet, but they haven't given any updates or really followed any leads in a really long time, it appears. Donna Kaye didn't take anything with her that would point toward a plan to leave and never return. She didn't pack clothes, makeup, money. It was first believed that she took her wallet with her, that had her ID inside, but that wallet was later found in the back seat of her dad's car a few weeks after she disappeared. I saw a few comments from people on different threads saying that maybe because of who Donna Kaye's biological mom is, that may have had something to do with her disappearance. Now, Donna Kaye's mom is Shelley Cloud, and she gained her 5 minutes of fame for being celebrity Anna Nicole Smith's cousin. So, cousin Shelley made some cameos on the Anna Nicole Smith show. Anyway, people, have made comments on different threads saying maybe Donna Kaye was taken to get money from Shelley, but I don't think Shelley had money, and I don't think Shelley was in Donna Kaye's life at all. I'm not even sure she knows her daughter is missing, and if she does, I don't think she's involved in searching for her in any way. But I just wanted to touch on that because I figured someone would mention it in the comments. We're moving on. As far as physical searches for Donna Kaye, I don't know that there have been any. The area around Splendora, Spring, and in between seems to have a lot of dense forests and places you could hide someone. I'm not sure why I couldn't find reports of searches. If there have been some, please let me know in the comments. I'm interested to know if they did search and where, and if tracking dogs were used to see if her scent could be picked up at the trailer park where her phone last pinged. Police seem to believe that Donna Kaye may have willingly left on her own to intentionally get away from her family, but her dad and others don't believe that at all. It's not believed she would have disappeared without a word to him or the grandmother who raised her, and she adored her little boy and wouldn't have left him. I do agree. I don't think it was Donna Kaye's intention to leave everyone and everything behind. Police cannot corroborate that any blind date ever took place, and police have said that the family has done things that they feel have hindered this investigation. Her dad has also apparently turned down opportunities to have Donna Kaye's story featured on television shows, and also, these groups that do searches, he's kind of been like, nah, we don't need your help. Why? Wouldn't you want any and all exposure and help you can get? Now, Houston is the #1 city for sex trafficking, so that is also a possibility, but there's not evidence of that. But there's no evidence of foul play or really anything else either. Donna Kaye has brown hair and brown eyes. She stands at 5'1" and around 120 pounds. She has deep dimples in both cheeks. Her ears are pierced and she has numerous tattoos. A diamond on her right ring finger, a cross on her right middle finger, the words "love is enough" on her collarbone, the word "faith" in cursive on the inside of her right forearm, a crown on the inside of her forearm, and script writing on her back on the right shoulder blade reading, "God is within her, she will not fail. Psalms 46:5. She was last seen wearing a burgundy t-shirt, blue jeans with a hole in the back right side pocket, and white canvas shoes. She was carrying a hard phone case that functioned as a wallet. I'm going to repeat that last line I said just in case you missed it. She was carrying a hard phone case that also functioned as a wallet. The wallet that was found in the back seat of her dad's car weeks after she disappeared. If you were leaving, wouldn't you just grab it and go? Why would you take your phone out of it and leave the wallet case sitting in the back seat of your dad's car? Her dad and stepmom said that it was left in there when they picked her up from the ex-boyfriend's house when she moved out. I hope that's how it got there and not just another made-up tale. But this whole thing is so messed up. What happened to Donna Kay? Is it possible that witnesses that say they saw her get dropped off by Carter maybe got their days mixed up and they saw her dropped off on a different day, perhaps a day prior to her going missing? Or did they really see Carter bring her home? Did she make it home and then leave again with someone else? And why would she have made dozens of stops over 2 days? I mean, according to her phone, she did. Some have suggested it involved drugs, while others think maybe it was someone who had her phone and the multiple stops were an attempt to get rid of evidence. Or maybe it was Donna Kay just going from place to place visiting friends. We're not sure. The text messages to her family could have been sent by someone else. Again, why would you leave with only your phone and not your wallet with your ID that functions as your phone case? Cops aren't really putting pressure, it seems, on those that last spoke with her or were with her. Nothing seems to be happening with this case. This poor girl is still missing, and a little boy is without his mother. The more I've researched this case, the more angry I got. None of it makes any sense, and I'm not trying to join in on bashing the family, but tell the truth from the beginning. Tell them you got in a fight and she left mad. I'm not saying that they made up the blind date story. I don't know. Maybe that's what Donna Kay told them. But when you find out you're wrong or you messed up, admit it. Come clean about the fight you had and help find your loved one and stay off her social media accounts and let the police check them. The only people that seem to be working on her case, from what I can tell, are the friends and family members that run the Facebook pages for her. I will link those pages below. There has been some drama on those as well, but I think they genuinely want to find her. They have held fundraisers to raise money for a reward. I know at one fundraiser they had, it was a bake sale, I believe. Someone stole the money that had been raised. This person was following the event organizer's son around, taunting him, saying things like how this was all pointless because they were going to find her dead anyway. I don't believe this guy was ever caught or identified, but man, people suck. They have also started a petition to get a new detective on Donna Kay's case. I will link that below as well. Anyone with information is asked to call the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office at 936-760-5800. Someone out there knows something. Even the tiniest bit of information could be so significant and lead to solving this and finding Donna. It's been over 4 years. It's time to speak up. Please share Donna Kay's flyer. Please share this video if you think it will help. Go show support on the Facebook pages I linked, but please be nice. And please go sign the petition. I really think they need some fresh eyes on this case. They really need to just start over, weed out all the false stories, and re-interview everyone involved. Even if her family handled things badly, I'm sure they love her and want her home, and maybe the things they did were just because they didn't know how to react to all of it. I don't know. I try to be unbiased, but in this one, it's really hard. I really appreciate you all being here. Don't forget to let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss when I upload. And also check out my entire missing playlist, as each case I cover is so important and deserves more exposure. And please, again, if you know anything about Donna's disappearance, it is time to let it be known. This family has waited long enough. So will you be the one who looks away or the one who does something about it? I'll see you all next week.